I'm that girl who is a mass murderer. I have killed many things in this current lifetime. Uncomfortable, right? A hideous confession to have to share with you all. And if you were honest, you would be able to say the same thing. And it feels yuck, right? Ugh. That time where I mowed the lawns and I probably killed a whole lot of insects unintentionally, you know, made lots of orphans potentially. And the time that I sprayed my roses because I noticed that there was aphids on there. And I just sprayed. I chose to protect my roses and kill, looked like millions, millions of aphids and their babies, grandparents, neighbors, friends, and family. Just sprayed the bejesus out of them and felt frustrated that they were there living their best aphid life on my roses, sucking out the energy of my roses so my rose flowers were going to be tiny and pathetic. It was a choice I made. And when I started learning about karma, when I was at varsity, I did a bachelor's degree, and one of the majors I did was religion. And I wanted to really understand a lot of processes and a lot of perspectives in religion. I always found I was not gravitating towards any Christianity religions. I always was very curious about Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and a whole lot of other really interesting religions, because I wanted to be able to understand death from a more balanced and non-scary perspective, right? I know that now. But as I was journeying along with my degree, following my passion of the arts, I really wanted to understand more about religion, which kept coming up in many in many Greek and Roman architecture and paintings and a whole lot of stuff, right? So I kind of found myself on that journey. So when I discovered karma, I assumed that everything I do comes back to me, potentially this lifetime, or actually I sort of thought it was other lifetimes, right? So it kind of motivated me to really think about my behavior and actions, thinking that if I'm an asshole, then someone's going to be an asshole to me, maybe in the next lifetime. And so it stopped me from being the asshole this lifetime, because I didn't want that to happen to me next lifetime. Not about the person I was being an asshole to. It wasn't could never really think about them. It was all about me, right? Back in my 20s, nearly 30 years ago now. So, forgive me for my ignorance, but it was very self-evolved, right? And we know lots of adults, they're very self-evolved, self-focused, and everything's about them, right? So there's that. So when I started tallying up all the times I was probably going to be a mosquito, a sandfly, all the bugs that I'd killed when I was driving fast in my car. Just thinking about all of that stuff. And that was not even when I realized or was even aware that plants have souls. So I'm going to come back as, 1,000 beetroots and 1,000 tomato plants and a whole lot of orchids, because I seem to have killed many of them accidentally with neglect. I was overwatering them. Imagine that, me overwatering things. Anyway, so interesting what they wanted me to share. And they wanted me to share this with you. They were prompting me to share this with you last night. And so anyway, lots of people are motivated to not be assholes when they realize that karma exists, and potentially, if you hurt someone or, whatever, it's going to come back to you, so you can feel it from the other side. And yes, absolutely, that is absolutely how karma used to work. right? And really early on with doing QHHT sessions and even BQH sessions, we were hearing that the karmic cycle had ended, and that those people who are, it's strange. I try to mansplain it, sorry, more than I've already been doing. So a lot of people were worried that, for example, some people had abortions, and they were really worried that that would create karmic debt towards them. And maybe a few times where they tried to be born, someone would kill them, for example, right? Horrible, horrible conversation. And always, but let's get real with metaphysics. So, the client would ask, am I going to be killed heaps of times trying to come into different lifetimes? And the subconscious would be like, no, all of those experiences are part of your life contract. You're not created karma through that. And so a lot of people wanting to know, have I created karma for having kids or something, right? Because we did know that from Dolores's work. A lot of volunteers did not want to create and have children here on this planet to create the karma. Very valid, right? However, when the karmic system has stopped because life on this planet is going to be no longer after these lifetimes we're living, it's interesting, right? So I kind of had a little sigh of relief when I realized that my murderous streak of killing fleas, flies, sandflies, aphids, lots of plants, I wasn't going to then be defaulted and having to come back into this life, many other lifetimes, to be those animals, to have someone do upon me as I did to others. So it's very interesting, right? So really great question to ask in your own sessions. Interns are free, I've heard from someone. And so let's just explore that, right? What karma did we come into this lifetime with? And, really when we unpack the word karma with subconsciouses, it says life contracts, right? So therefore, all life contracts are coming to an end when we shift, right? Because we can't keep coming back to this planet anymore as much as we wish we could. So anyway, there's that. Explore it on your own time. Do you judge me for being a mass murderer? Because if we're judging people, still there is still inner work. And if you're honest, you would also recount the times where you accidentally stood on some slugs, dug up a garden, blah, 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 blah. Right? So am I the worst person in the world? Well, we know my jokes are probably the worst, but I'm a fantastic barista now. So there's that. Isn't it amazingly fast when we choose to actually do our inner work and notice the stuff that we're sort of we know our weaknesses and we know our strengths. And when we actually pay attention to those weaknesses and not be embarrassed about those weaknesses and not avoid acknowledging some of our weaknesses, they suddenly become quite strong strengths, because we're focusing on where we can grow forward and move forward to. And, we're putting our attention into empowering ourselves to be better baristas. That was me. And that was fantastic because I've learned, and I am making now fantastic coffees. And not only am I making fantastic coffees for me, I'm now finally able to serve my partner just the good quality coffees that he does for me, right? So now I'm finally able to match his taste. I mean, we always sort of had this, would take turns making coffees, right? And he was too polite to say to me, your coffees taste like shit. What the hell are you doing? Because we don't want to point out our weaknesses to our friends and family, do we? No, we want to sort of encourage them and be like, thanks. But I always sort of felt like maybe there was something that was not so fantastic with my efforts. And what was it? I honestly unpacked that. I wasn't begrudging having to do the coffees. I was happy to do the coffees. I love my coffees in the morning. I just have one, maybe two. And then if I need another coffee, it would be a decaf, right? So that's my habits. Maybe I should look into it. I'll ask in a session. I think interns are free. Oh, I wonder what the subconscious would say. Anyway. Okay, so now because I've done my own inner work with that, now I can be of service to him better, right? So gosh, isn't it a fantastic little easy thing to remind ourselves with, right? When it's a weakness, then we're only able to share the weakness around, right? The best we can do is that still weakness of shit coffee, even though it was the same ingredients, even though it was the same machine, blah, 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 blah. My steps and stages to making the coffee, because of the darn frother of the milk, right? The cream, he takes his time to froth it up and whip it up, and it changes the taste, and it's more milkier coffee than, you know, tiny little bit of milk or cream that I put in, and it's, you know, the balance is all wrong, my friends. Okay, so while we think we can create exactly the same like for like, if we don't get the right balances, it turns to custard. Okay, so there's that. I've had a whole week, it seems, of daily sessions with practitioners and other people who come to me and have said, I've gone to interns, I've gone to paid practitioners, I've gone to level 3 practitioners, and they all say that I'm a special case. No one, they can't put me under. I'm just fucked. And, you know, they sort of say that they've gone to multiple practitioners and they just can't get under. And I'm like, well, tell me about that journey. Did you expect to see something with your eyes? Did you expect to hear something? What, right? And so we go through, and of course we have sessions, and, you know, surprise, surprise, they are volunteers. Okay, so volunteers, if you're new to this, is first lifetimes here, or even potentially multiple lifetimes here, but they've got nothing as a reference point, or they don't need to have anything as a reference point to be able to help them in this lifetime. So the subconscious will only show the clients what they need to understand from a different perspective, other lifetimes, to kind of help complement or understand this current lifetime here. And so anyway, the moral of my story is profound volunteers have come to this planet. They've been activated this year, very recently, within the last few months. Many volunteers have been activated to be of service now. So they are sort of really suddenly stumbling across Dolores Cannon randomly, suddenly stumbling across other practitioners randomly, doing the courses in passion and drive and vigor, because it just feels like absolutely this is something I've been searching for a long time, but never knew it existed. And so when these special gifts to humanity come and they try to have their own sessions, and because of their practitioners' lack of skills and lack of understanding of this work and lack of consideration that there is volunteers here, they give the volunteer the opinion and impression, you can't do this. This is not for you. You're crap. And they charge for that. Now, if you're a practitioner and you're charging money and you can't get volunteers under, quit. Quit. Refund all that money. Because if you are using this work thinking that you're an amazing practitioner and yet you can't get volunteers under, and then you give that client the impression that they're worthless, quit. Do us all a favor, grow or quit. You know, your choices. And for any of you interns who are still trying to work through this, find a volunteer who's probably had another session with someone else and do the full session with them, right? Give yourself the challenge. Can you navigate through anything? You know, because you have to be prepared for anything. You can't assume that these clients that are coming in have had potato picking lives and, you know, they've got heaps of stuff, blah, 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 right? Dolores Cannon the other day came in and was reminding us all to stop quoting out-of-date quotes from her, right? And to actually, you know, use the ones that are purposeful, that can help humanity now, right? Saying to not do sessions online is not helping humanity now. Get it? Right? Okay, so Anyway, she really wants us to remember as clients and as practitioners, if the client can't go under, it's the practitioner's fault. Okay, she was very firm about that. And I know many practitioners that are like, oh, well, I just had a stubborn client, blah, 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 blah. Well, work through that then. That's the inner work. Help them explore that. Help them understand that controlling situations and being stubborn is no longer serving you when you're trying to seek out subconscious information. So the only time that people can't go under truly, honestly, is if they are in antipsychotic medications, prescription drugs. And so I feel like they're saying that there is antipsychotic drugs that aren't prescription. So whatever that is. Anyway, so practitioners, humble yourselves, stop doing these sessions for money, actually care about your clients, and actually figure out how to make everyone go under. If you haven't explained that you're not going to see things in sessions and you keep telling your client, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? I would give up on you. So I'm sorry for the tough love, but it's heartbreaking to see all of my favorite volunteers coming in, wanting sessions, wanting this information, and being basically told you're pathetic, nothing, you're worthless. I dismiss you. You know, like, for fuck's sake, it's hard enough being a volunteer as it is to then be dismissed when you're desperately wanting to connect in with your subconscious. So be flexible, practitioners. Think outside the square, understand who is here at this very important time for humanity. And could you support them? Please. Thank you. Because, you know, these volunteers are being activated for a really significant purpose. And these volunteers need to be supported and loved and respected and not dismissed. And if you don't know how to support a volunteer as a practitioner, you have got lots of work to do. And I say that with love and all sincerity, because this work is not entertainment. This work is not your cash cow. This work is significant and needs to be respected. And anyone that doesn't respect this work, shame on you. Shame on you. Because this is not the time to fuck around with your egos and your materialistic bullshit. Okay? Humble yourselves and be of service. And for any of you who couldn't get under and you paid your practitioners, write them a love letter. Because Dolores Cannon herself said that all practitioners should be able to get their clients under, and if the clients don't get under, it's the practitioner's fault. Now, you know, if you were holding back, you know, if you didn't really trust the practitioner, you know, and all of that sort of stuff. So check your own selves, clients. Were you truly holding back and scared to share the truth, or what? You know, if you don't feel like you were truly honestly supported by your practitioners, let them know. Okay, because they're doing this for a living, they're doing this as a profession. And if they've got inner work to do, honor them, because if they're still screwing up and not supporting you as a volunteer, chances are they'll get heaps of other volunteers to come in and they'll just disempower them too. I'm so passionate about it and I'm so sorry for being an asshole. But am I? Because a lot of people get so offended when they are reminded that they have to do inner work. So offended, so offended. You know what? I would love to see people who don't have inner work and be able to support them through that. You know, that would be fantastic, right? So choices, anyone can choose to do their inner work. We're all doing it, right? And for anyone to assume that they don't have any inner work, well, come down to reality, because we all have things to do to be able to empower ourselves and others, right? So yeah, it is. It's so important what's happening now. And it's so marvelous how many people have been activated to recall why they are here. Originally, they were supposed to just be here, not aware of everything, to just be living and just hold their frequency and just be these gifts without knowing that they're these gifts. You know, and that's, you know, because a lot of people, as soon as they start realizing certain things in sessions, you know, I see a lot of people, oh, I'm special, cool, I don't need to do anything. And people just feed off their ego as well. So it's really interesting. Humans suck, right? In some regards, because, we're supposed to be constantly loving and empowering each other and supporting each other and working to be always improving upon ourselves and not being stagnant. So, there's so much to be said about that. And I know that inner work seems hard and boring and blah, 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 blah. But it is so important, super important. So whatever we are limiting, or however we are limiting ourselves at this time, grow from that. That's fantastic experience to unpack. Very interesting. Another thing that comes up often in sessions is people feel really bad that they are eating meat. And, because the spiritual world and the new age world has said, oh, that's the worst thing ever to do, is to eat meat. And when we ask in sessions all the time, because often the clients are saying, can I stop the craving of eating meat? I feel so bad. I feel like a worst person in the world to be still eating meat. And I just don't know why I can't stop. And the subconscious is like, well, that's an assumption that eating meat's bad, because the souls of those animals came in with very high frequency for you to consume it, to lift your vibration up. But don't we know so many righteous vegans that think that they are heroes in the world, and yet not respecting all the other souls that's happening around them? And so, if you understood metaphysics, and if you understood in sessions, honestly, what is happening for all the souls and why things are occurring, blah, 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 you would start sort of humbling yourself if you're this righteous vegan, right? Because what you're trying to do is you're disempowering people to feel guilty about eating that meat, when literally they are supposed to eat that meat to feel that high vibration and to lift up. And you're judging in your, plastic pants, telling people how you're judging everyone who eats meat. And yet what you're doing is you're judging everyone who's consuming high frequency vibrations. So again, humble yourselves, start seeing things from the true, honest, metaphysical perspective, have sessions, ask everything, and stop your assumptions that what's occurring. Because when you truly ask subconsciouses, they tell us it's straight, brutal sometimes, because our Mr. Stupids confuse and fuddle and see such limited perspectives of what's actually going on and why. Whoever is still listening, I love you. I wasn't talking about you, I was talking about the others. Anyway, they get quite passionate, don't they? And so do I. And what's my agenda there? I'm truly trying to empower people to be honest with themselves. And, again, my partner couldn't be honest with me that I was making shit cups of coffee. But I learned and empowered myself within a day. And so anyone that still feels like, oh, she's talking to me, okay, I love you still, we've all been there, but it's sort of time to grow up and step up and acknowledge your weaknesses and create them into strengths. Empower yourselves to be able to empower others. I love you guys so much. I want you to have a fantastic day. I need you to have a fantastic day, because the more we are high vibrational, the more we are gifts and of service to humanity at this really important time. Bye.